I'm Dream Queen. You're in the cab with me. Thanks for rolling. Woo! Catch my breath. I have flutters right now talking to you. I don't really know why. I think that might indicate that the message is strong. Or I finally went and had too much coffee. I want to talk a little bit more about impoverished people. And I want to talk about my day yesterday. And I'm going to read it to you because it kind of came through me like a journal entry or a channel message. So I'm just going to it's not channel because it's my thoughts. So it's more like a journal entry. Hi, welcome to my mind. You come every Saturday morning probably because you love the music. So some of you have heard me talk about an aspect of my project that's in the cab on the road. And every journey that I take is to collect story and be of maximum good and a projection of love and light in this world. That might be the first half of my mission statement right there. Telling stories of people whose stories aren't being amplified. Stories that will benefit all of us on the planet and beyond in a way to just make life better, right? Because I think part of what leads to lack of compassion in this world is that we can't put ourselves in other people's shoes. Maybe sometimes, a lot of times it's just because people don't know. And that's the important thing about decolonizing our mind, or what some people will call woke, okay? Think about the vitriol that's on that word now to mean awakened, to mean to be conscious, okay? When we can put ourselves, we see what's going on with other people and not just what we're being fed through Big Brother's screens. And I'm talking about basic screens, like, the TV shows and the game shows and the commercials and I'm not talking about people who go out of their way to use the screen to educate themselves and do their fact-finding and look at things like TikTok, like Instagram. I'm going to say it. The filters are horrible on Instagram. Don't get me going on that. I understand that. One of the things that I think social media has given us and the internet has given us is the ability to just have a little window into other people's experience if it's an authentic and true story. And storytelling has evolved through human history, obviously, and we have to let it because we are evolving. And we have to separate the wheat from the chaff to bring it back to nature and our natural state. We are not cyber beings. Just don't get a chip put in you. Okay, I'm not going to go on that tangent. We are organic. But we can use the tools that we have at our disposal and continue our evolution, which could include a shared vision of equity amongst all. It could include that. That was not in my paper. That was me jazzing. All right, so I was with a friend yesterday. This is my paper. And due to other obligations, I found myself short on a subject for the second hour of today's show. The last week and a half or so has found me introspective and working out a lot of personal stuff that I'm not talking about here, except the part where I did. I'm just saying for context, I was remiss in my duties due to exhaustion and especially mental fatigue. And yet I still needed to mentally process my day. And I have this need to speak and share with you listeners, so I'm going to tell you about this adventure I went on yesterday. I was helping a friend move again. Not this same friend again, but I found myself again for the 5th time that I can recall right now. I was helping a friend relocate into a temporary housing situation. That's more people in 1 year and a half than in my entire life. Housing is scarce. Problems are plenty. Housing problems and addiction especially. And I'm going to pause here and talk a little bit about that paragraph. I've been doing odd jobs and helper jobs, either as a primary income or a side income, or just because we help our friends and family for my whole life. Been a helper. And when I say that those numbers about how many people I've helped move this year and a half, past year and a half, more than being my entire life, is just let's underscore the part where it's into temporary housing. That part. And I don't mean people moving into, not knowing if their relationship's going to work out or whatever. I'm talking about people are like, I got to be here in between because I don't know where I'm going to live. And I'm scared, y'all. I'm scared for me. I'm scared for you. I'm scared because housing there's enough buildings. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to get back to the paper. I'm going to stay on topic. But that's the subject. So we were up in the Mandanales Taos journey. Okay, very beautiful. I'm in my truck helping a friend who had injured herself. And it was just a spur of the moment thing. And I was like, I'm going to go on a journey, right? So I'm supposed to be doing my radio show on Friday, but what I'm supposed to be doing is living what I'm saying. And that's showing up for my community, right? So we're driving, and in our travels at a red light, there was a 50-something-ish, maybe 60-year-old white man with a super cute brindle pit bull curled up by his feet. He was holding a sign. I don't remember what it said, but obviously he was panhandling. I struggled for a moment with my pocket and pulled out a 5 for him. I'm struggling. My friend is struggling. We are 2 brown women struggling. And by the grace of God, making it by the skin of our teeth. Our families, also made up of brown women. And I'm going to digress and say that's legit. Like, we happen to be of matriarchal tribes. Our surviving families, between the 2 of us, women. Making it by the skin of their teeth. I'm talking Miracle Max. And I gave this able-bodied white man $5 that could have gone in my gas tank or a taco or whatever. Because I myself had only had a handful of blueberries that another brown woman who came to help shared with me. So I was running on coffee and about 10 blueberries. I know what I did. She didn't quite agree with my move. And I'll leave her part at that. Now I had to unpack to myself and her why I did that. That $5 is worth today what $1 was worth before COVID. I was just having this conversation with another friend the day before. 50 is 20 and so on. It's just costing too much to live. So it's a thing I get that if I'm going to give a person panhandling money, it is an acknowledgement that I understand that life costs what it costs. I have always had the mentality that if I'm giving out money, it doesn't matter what you're spending it on. I don't care if it's drugs, booze, gas, dog food, people food, a haircut, a meal, whatever. It's none of my business. Because frankly, life sucks for you. You are living in a situation that is my worst nightmare. And I don't know how you got here, but I'm sorry, and I hope this money makes a difference in your life. $5 was not going to make or break my day. I had already spent $100 going out the door picking up something for my friend and gas. Which brings me to my second point, which is that I don't always have cash. I don't always feel like I can spare it if I do. So when the elements align and I have something and a voice says, give it to this person, jar on the counter, whatever, I'm going to do it. Everyone has a story. I don't believe that most of the people out here are scamming. Not in 90-degree heat in the middle of 4 lanes of traffic. Which brings me to the median laws and camps. I felt immediately like this person's life is about to change drastically. It already has. I thought soon enough he will not be able to stand there. I hope this 5 makes a difference. He will be removed sooner or later. Just like the people all around us are having the last sacred things thrown in dump trucks and bulldozers without a thought except clean up our streets. The unhoused, the drug addicted, the afflicted, these are people that our society has failed. Can we even truly be called a society when there is so much antisocial behavior in practice? Even as there are already anti-soliciting and loitering municipal laws in place, many cities across the country are enforcing bans on sleeping in public spaces. Under the guise of public safety, Santa Fe has itself passed a law that prohibits lingering in medians. Shelters and public housing facilities are scarce, and many don't meet the needs of the people who rely on them. So, people are on the streets. Inflation, low wages, domestic violence, mental and physical health issues, these are all situations that have people put out on the streets. And we make laws criminalizing people at their most vulnerable because they are an eyesore, because they are frightening, because they make us uncomfortable. What are we frightened of? The hypocrisy that we've brought into for 600 years? The powerlessness we feel when we see people and animals suffering and we can't seem to make a lasting difference? The reflection that there, but for the grace of God go I, if one really bad thing should happen to me or someone I love. That I work so hard and am barely scraping by and feel superior and somehow yet on the same level as this poor soul? Am I numb, smarter, luckier, more pious, more hardworking to be in this vehicle, going to a home, no matter how modest, having food and a hot shower that I didn't have to beg or shame myself for? Why would I want to have this person removed from my sight into oblivion? For we often ask, where are they supposed to go? Into the void? Off the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge? Jail? AKA the prison industrial complex? AKA work camps? I hate that we call places of oppression camps, as if it's a legitimate retreat. This all comes down to property values, shame, discomfort, more than criminality. People who are going to rob and beat and kill folks are going to rob and kill folks before they stand in a median begging for your change. The people out here right now are begging for change. We are all begging for change. Whether it's to make our next car, truck, or house, or tuition payment, or medical bill, you are begging for change in our whole society. Change your mind and how you approach politics, politicians, cults of personality, ego, friends, family, and neighbors. Realize within yourself why you would support legislation, a politician, or a political ideology or party that does not look out for the least of us, but demands we be protected from them. That we being people with money. Because as soon as a person runs out of money, you stop being we to the political party and become them. We can each become unhoused or addicted or injured. You may already be there and not know it. Which brings us to self-awareness. When we become aware and accept our humanity, our flaws, our vulnerability to injury and injustice, we begin to see ourselves in the disenfranchised. No matter their ethnicity, nationality, or religion, or even what they may have done in the past, or may yet do in the future, that could be judged as immoral or criminal. Should we discuss in depth the whole structure of law and crime and safety? We don't have time today for that here. We are on the verge of electing a prosecutor for president. In a time when freedom for all marginalized people is at stake, we choose our identity politic and align ourselves with professionals at us versus them. They will be prosecuted and driven out. Careful you do not become one of them from both sides of the aisle, as if that there is only two choices in life, ever, especially not in politics. Scrutinize your ballot. Decolonize your mind. Call it what you want, but I know another world is possible. I know that other ways of doing things is possible without blacking out all the power and shutting off all the borders and shutting down all the public services and offices. The ideas and the fears that people have around what a revolution looks like, what socialism looks like, the scare tactics can only be used on people who aren't educated. I think Americans lack vision, imagination, and faith. I think our pride and fear rule us. And that makes me really freaking sad. I wait. I am very disturbed by a lot of things happening in the world today. I'm most disturbed by what happens to the most vulnerable among us. And I just want to add the elderly here. The elderly are the fastest rising in the houseless population, not by choice. This is an aside here. The myth that most people choose to live on the street is a very cruel myth. And you put that in your pipe and you smoke it and you take it in. The cruel myths that we're taught about the most vulnerable people. I hope by talking about this will change some influential minds. We have to wake up as human beings and see where our true motivations lie and act and adjust accordingly. We have to make different choices even when we are afraid and can't see the outcome. I'm still working on things I can say or do when I am overcome by feelings of helplessness when I see someone in need that I can't help in the median. Maybe I say, I'm sorry I don't have any money to spare, but I hope you get what you need. I wish I could help you. God bless. I hope you have a decent night or day or whatever. It's the helplessness and unworthiness that gets to me the most. And when I say that, I mean mine. My helplessness, my feeling of unworthiness, that I should have so much and others have so little. I don't know about you. I I know that a lot of people, I think most of us, struggle with that because we're compassionate beings. I had planned on reading you about the Poor People's Campaign. They have a policy platform and a really good about section on their website, which is poorpeoplescampaign.org. If you're interested, I think you should take a look at your leisure. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. There'll be a recording of this on IndyCab Radio at Mixcloud, and it probably will make it to YouTube as well. In the Cab Radio, Instagram, and all that. Just so you can catch the words. I'm not selling anything out there. It's just catch a vibe. Thanks.